Hello and welcome to the New Year's Day edition of Cracking the Cryptic. A very, very happy New Year to you all. Let us hope that 2026 proves to be, if it's anything like as good as we've had from a puzzle perspective in 2025, what a year it will be. And I can think of no better way, literally no better way, to start the year than by telling you we have a new Rat Run puzzle called 51 Years Later by Marty Sears. And apparently this is a teaser for Rat Run Series 3. Now, if you're wondering what I'm talking about, let me explain. The last couple of years, we have been blessed with these astonishing puzzles about the adventures of the rat Finks. Going round her maze to find cupcakes. There's been a whole season 1, and then there's been season 2. Season 3 has been awaited with bated breath for months now. And Marty, I think season 3 must be imminent. This puzzle is a teaser, and it's set 51 years after the events that we're familiar with so far. So there is a teaser text that we need to read together. Now let me see if I found that's something. Here we go. So let's read this message. I think this puzzle only came out last night. Is dated the 31st of December 2025. What on earth happened to phase 3? I'm certain it must have taken place. I've been poring over my grandfather's notes ever since moving into his old house, trying to find out exactly what happened all those years ago, and if there was any truth whatsoever to the stories he used to tell me when I was a little girl about Finks and her friend. Some very peculiar pieces of equipment were in the cases in the attic, alongside the notebooks and dismantled maze parts, miniature doors, push buttons, tiny grey cameras, cages, but some components seem to be missing, and the notes for Phase 3 are nowhere to be found. Tonight, before the year is out, I'll attempt to reconstruct one of his mazes using designs from the largest notebook. Although I don't have a subject to test the maze with, I hope the process of building it will give me, if not closure, then at least some insight into how his mind worked. So it is. This is absolutely brilliant. It's got a 100% rating already, of course, on Logic Masters Germany. And I'm going to try the puzzle for you today. I am so stoked about this. Marty, what a time. Marty has I think, sort of P.T. Barnum-like flair to just drop this on the Sudoku world to start the new year with. Yeah, and we'll read the rules. Oh, by the way, the rules are weird. The rules are weird to this one. You can already see it's not a 9x9 Sudoku. It's an 8x8, but we've got to put repeated digits in rows, columns, and boxes. So we'll read the rules together in a moment or two's time. But I've got lots of things to talk to you about before then. Last night, it was last night for me, I solved this cactus love puzzle for New Year's Eve. It was really wonderful. And I said, if any of you have some questions that you'd like to ask, I would answer them in today's video. Well, I got lots of questions. So this might not be interesting at all for some of you, and if not, just skip forward in the video. But I thought I might just spend a few minutes answering the questions that you guys wanted answers to. So let's have a look. Marusha Dark asked, just as you do co-op solves with Sudoku Hunt winners, would you consider doing co-op solves with some of the prominent setters that have appeared on the channel? I suppose we might. We haven't done it. Also, whatever happened to the CTC podcast you and Mark did years ago? The CTC podcast is, I think, still available on the channel. I think you can find that. There may even be a playlist of it. We made that with Peter C. Hayward. It feels like years ago now. And there was even talk of there being a second season, I think. But it's always something that I found a bit mystifying, because obviously, these puzzles are tremendous things to look at, to analyse, to solve logically, and to talk about them in the abstract. I mean, you can talk about the feelings they give you, but it feels like a difficult subject to just chat about. I was always very worried that people would be very bored listening to the podcast, although I do acknowledge that it was popular. Anyway, Marusha's question: would we do co-op solves with prominent setters? Possibly. As much as anything, it's the technology side of it that's so terrifying. You wouldn't believe how long it takes me every time to set up these calls with the Sudoku hunt winners. Don had to go through it yesterday. It's really a source of great stress. Anyway, let's go on. Kim asks, a question for the delicate Simon and Mark. Yes, I'm feeling a little bit delicate today. It was a good evening last night. How much editing is done before you publish the videos? How long does it take you to do it before you publish? And actually it says stream, but I think we do no editing of the blueprint streams, none at all. And for the videos, we do no editing, except that what we have to do is to put the instructions on the side and to put the intro music on. And that process does take a surprisingly long time. I mean, even though we do it every day, so we've got very used to the rigmarole of doing it, it probably takes half an hour, I would say, to add the instructions and to change the titles, etc., and to make sure all the cards are in the right places. And then it probably takes my computer at least half an hour to then create the video that we upload to YouTube. Then you upload it to YouTube. Then you have to do all of the video description stuff. You've got to think of a title. You've got to make a thumbnail, etc. It's quite a lot of work, as well as obviously the solving. Ben asks, what is your weapon of choice for wine? I'm not sure. What's that mean? Does that mean what's my favourite wine? I'm not sure. If it means that, then my favourite white wine is Merceau, and my favourite red wine is probably Pomerol. And there's a bit extra from Ben, says, in the Niagara region, we make a mean off-dry Riesling. Happy New Year. So I must check that out. Lex says, since you mentioned thumbnails have impacts, I'd be interested to hear if you guys have experimented with A/B thumbnail testing. Very little bit. So for those of you who don't know, when you create a video now on YouTube, you have the option to select more than one thumbnail, and then YouTube will test 2 or 3 thumbnails against each other to see which creates the most engagement. I've done it for about 3 videos, but that's all, and I wasn't overwhelmed by the results. Leisurine asks, will you and Mark do more team-up solves in the new year? This is the same question as the other one. It's just such a nightmare to make the technology work. You'd love to see us do more super hard puzzles together. It might be an idea that at least I would feel less embarrassed about taking Mark's time than I would, say, inviting a really great setter on and then spending 45 minutes trying to set the stream up. So possibly that is a possibility. Amelia, I think it's Amelia. It starts with Amelia. Asks, as someone who's just started watching a couple of months ago, why is 3 in the corner a thing? Oh, I'm so sorry about this. Basically, it was years ago now. At some point during a solve, I found myself saying, that's 3 in the corner. And I'm a huge fan of REM, and it occurred to me that sounds like That's Me in the Corner, which is a song that I know very well, especially from my teenage years of angst when I was often in the corner alone at parties. So I sang it. And from there, it's become a little bit of a thing. Dustin says, this isn't a question. This is a fascinating. So yesterday I mentioned that in 2025, viewers of the channel had watched videos on the channel for over 10 million hours. And Dustin says that 10 million hours ago, in history terms, was a few years after the coronation of Charlemagne on Christmas Day in the year 800 AD. That's a good fact. That is a good fact. Robo Warrior says that they've read about Mark and my individual accolades backgrounds from your website, but they would love to hear more about how you both know each other and how this great channel and community came about. Well, Mark and I have known each other for much longer than the channel has existed. In about 2000, I went to the Times Crossword Championship, at which Mark was already sort of a star, intending to try and meet him because I was sort of fascinated by his brain. And I did manage to meet him, and we found out that we didn't work too far away from one another, so we arranged to have lunch. And so we did have lunch. We started what became a very common habit of having lunch at a Pizza Express near London Bridge. And we probably had lunch there 2 or 3 times a week, and goodness only knows what the waiters and waitresses thought, because, you know, there'd be a pizza for him and a pizza for me, but the main bulk of the table would just be taken up with puzzles. So this was in the early days when Sudoku had just started appearing in the Times, and there'd be Sudokus and crosswords everywhere, and we would just do puzzles. So we found that we had a lot in common anyway, and obviously these were earlier days, really, before. I don't think either of us were particularly internet au fait at that time. So finding people in real life with whom you share a great passion was difficult. And yeah, when we went from there, we were best friends, and then, you know, our families had been away together on holiday, and yeah, and then in 2017, the channel popped up. Anyway, that's a different story. I'll move swiftly on. Grim Squeaker asks, do I have a favourite chocolate cake? And the answer to that is, well, a very heavily iced chocolate cake, of course. I do like, there's a chocolate cake company here in the UK called the Hummingbird Bakery, which actually is near Mark's house in London. And occasionally, if I'm very lucky, when I go to his house, he might have got me one of those. They are very, very delicious. Poulet says, could Simon commit to eating a banana on camera if the channel reaches 1 million subscribers? Yes, I can. Unfortunately, I don't think that's going to move the needle, but it is a secret ambition of mine. I mean, it's so ridiculous, isn't it, that this channel could ever even conceive of reaching that total. But I guess if you'd said to me a few years ago, oh, you might one day, you know, reach 600,000, I'd have been like, no way, that's impossible. So maybe it's possible to reach 1 million. I mean, if it reaches 1 million in sort of 30 years, that's not fair to make me eat the banana. Make me eat the banana then. But if it happened, okay, here we go. If it happens in 2026, then yes, I will eat the banana. I mean, why that would be good viewing, I don't know. I can't bear bananas. But anyway, Poulet, there you go. Now, next, Donald says, we all know, even if we don't get to see it, that every once in a while you can't solve the puzzle and have to record a second one. What was the fastest you ever gave up on a puzzle? Have you ever been there 15 minutes into a solve and thought, uh-oh? Well, have I ever been 15 minutes into a solve and thought, uh-oh? Yes, almost most days. But no, I wouldn't give up after 15 minutes. When I do fail, it's normally after quite a long time. So 45 minutes, an hour, even longer. And that's obviously because the puzzles that we show are put forward and proposed to us for a reason, because they're some of the best puzzles it's possible to find on this planet Earth. So just because I can't do it quickly, that should be totally expected. And what I can't bear it, actually, is if it's a puzzle that I really want to see the light of day, and then I fail to solve it. That's that feels like I've let the puzzle down, I've let the setter down, etc. And I might send it to Mark then. But there have been puzzles that neither of us has solved, that should have been solved. But anyway, yeah. So no, not after 15 minutes, Donald. I give them longer than that. Then Dinane? That might be. I might be mispronouncing that. Do you like board games, and do I have any favourites? I do quite like them, although I do think board games have gone a bit crazy. So, I've seen sort of Lord of the Rings games that take, whole months to play and things like that. So no, I'm more of a sort of Scrabble and Monopoly type person. That's so lame, isn't it? Sorry. Dasriel asks. So they say it's too late now, but I wish YouTube would change subscribe, mainly because a lot of older people in my life tend to think they need to pay money to do so. Okay, so that's not really a question, but yeah, I agree. I think a lot of people don't realize what it is to subscribe. It's almost nothing. You just click the bell icon. You don't have to part with money or anything. All you're doing is registering a preference with YouTube. You're saying, I quite like this channel. I'd like to know more when they release new videos. That's all it is. Then ACCK, is that Alice, says 2 questions. What advice would you give someone who wants to improve their variant Sudoku solving? Well, I'm going to give you a bit of trite advice. I apologise for that. It is practice. That is all it is, in my opinion. I think watching videos it will help you to pick up or to build a toolkit of things that you can use. But at the end of the day, it's only practice. And you can look at me as an example of that. If you go back several years on the channel, if I'd have faced some of the puzzles now that are produced now, if old Simon had faced those puzzles, there would have been a lot more fails. Because we all improve if we practice. And what are my top 5 favourite books? I saw this question before I turned on the webcam. That's impossible to answer. I will tell you my favourite book, which is Cloud Atlas by David Mitchell. David Mitchell, the author rather than the comedian. I like the comedian as well, but David Mitchell, the author, is, I think, the closest thing we have to a modern day sort of Dickens or Shakespeare. Just a genius with language, and Cloud Atlas, I think, is his masterpiece. Sorry, AJ, if you're watching this. Sorry, AJ's a friend of mine who hates Cloud Atlas, but he has no taste. David asks, will you and Mark record Losing My Religion with CTC's alternate lyrics and release it as a charity single for the Christmas #1 in 2026? Almost certainly not, mainly because I'd be terrified that they would sue me. But perhaps, I wouldn't be, if there was a lot of auto-tuning, I wouldn't be against it, but no one would buy it. And would I do it for charity if I thought it would raise a lot of money for charity? Definitely. But I think there are obstacles to be overcome with that one, as much as I might be tickled by it. Brian asks, what is the best way to recommend puzzles for us to solve? The best way, actually, is to just send us an email. We get dozens of these every day. So at crackingthecryptic@gmail.com, send us an email, explain why you think the puzzle would be good, and that is the best way. Dorlear, that is Dorlear the setter, asks actually a related question. Would it be possible to show how you select a puzzle to do? I know it is mostly from suggestions, but is there a list of the puzzles you have that you can do, so the setters put it there, or are there any scores? How good the puzzle, how long? Okay, I think this is basically a question about how how do we decide which puzzles to do? So, and there are many ways actually. There are some people who can drop us an email and that will almost guarantee that one of us will try the puzzle. For example, if Marty writes in and says, have a go at this puzzle's brilliant, that sort of short circuits the process, because I mean, if Marty says it's good, it must be brilliant. So that's going to be something that we'll take on trust. We get lots and lots of submissions from setters who are new, or where we can't find the puzzle online or anything like that. What we do with those is they go off to testers, and the testers write back and say yes, no, maybe. And then we've got a list of dozens and dozens and dozens of those puzzles. And normally the testers will make it clear if something is so good it must appear, or we must try to solve it. So that's another way. The recommendations way is, for example, with the Minesweeper puzzle recently, we had dozens of emails saying you must try this. So at that point, it's obvious that has to happen. And then if we see something on Logic Masters Germany that's got 100% rating or something like that, then that again will shortcut any sort of queuing system. And the other thing practically that I'd say is that it's a bit about what's going on in our real lives. So there was a puzzle recently. I want to say it's by Andrew Sarkis, I think. It's called something like Congruence, or I might be getting this wrong. But anyway, it's a very visually arresting puzzle. It's had several recommendations, but it's got 5 stars out of 5 for difficulty, and some people saying it takes hours and hours and hours to solve. Now, with the best will in the world, especially with my computer problems and Christmas, etc., I can't do that. I can't do that until I have a big window in a day. And so that really affects, especially with the harder puzzles, when they might appear or when they might even be attempted. Now, somebody says, Al, I think this says, when you read the comments and somebody points out something from the first few minutes of the solve that would have resulted in a quicker, smoother solve, do you kick yourself for missing it, or take a more philosophical view and even be proud that you still solved it without using what the commentator pointed out? I really, really get cross with myself if I miss something that would showcase the puzzle in a better light. So if you find a way through a puzzle, but it's sort of case testy, and if you can almost feel as you're doing it, like it's a bit unclean what you're doing, and then somebody says afterwards, well, you could have done that, that, and that, and you look at it and go, oh my god, that's beautiful. Then yeah, I don't take any pride in what I did. I sometimes in the past I've even made follow-up videos to say, look at this. This is what I should have seen. So yeah, I have to be a bit careful with the comments in that regard, because on any Cracking the Cryptic video, there will be comments that say, at this point, Simon Mark missed this deduction. And if you get too hung up on that, and I find myself very able to get too hung up on it, you can just come out of it thinking, gosh, I'm so useless at solving. There's 7 dozen things in that one puzzle that I didn't spot. So I have to be a bit, I do take a philosophical view in that regard. And then finally, Charlie, I think it is. Charlie can't wait to see Mark's Dance Revolution skills. No, neither can I. I'm looking forward to those. apart from set theory, which mathematical or algorithmic things have helped you the most with puzzles? Also, why golf? Golf is something I've played forever, so I've always been obsessed with golf. Golf is a sport, I think, a bit like puzzles as well, that you can get very obsessed with. It's a very technical game with a lot of, there's a lot of magic to it and a lot of disappointment along the way, but it's a fascinating game from a mind perspective, I think. And apart from set theory, which mathematical or algorithmic things have helped you the most with puzzles? I think I've noticed, the more I've solved, how much more comfortable I've become with things like modular arithmetic and parity and even just basic arithmetic. And old Simon, I think, would have, Mod 3 was something I was aware of and could have thought about and could have thought through. But now, because I've practiced it a lot, it becomes a lot more natural. So it's all just practice. It is all just practice. Anyway, I've taken enough of your time already. That is the end of the questions. So let me return to the puzzle. I'm sorry, Marty, to take so much time. I do have other things to talk about first, as well before we kick off. So let me trot through those. There is a bonus video on the channel this morning of my solve with Don. I should really say Don's solve with me, because it was much more him than me. And this is great. This was Erin Toller's puzzle. Now, Erin appeared on the channel a few months ago in one of our viewer solves. So Erin won a competition a few months back and came on the channel and solved, and now has been setting puzzles, and she's made this brilliant puzzle here. And some of you have already noticed that Don looks slightly sinister in the thumbnail. This was totally his choice. I said, can you send me a thumbnail? And I think he's a big fan of Hitchcock. I know there's that famous one of Hitchcock where he's looking very, very glum. And Don took his inspiration from there. And when you hear Don speak, nothing could be further from the truth. Anyway, so there's a bonus video. I'll try and remember to put a link on the screen. Also, on Patreon this afternoon, our brand new Sudoku hunt went live. This is the Paint by Numbers Institute Off by One calendar. Lots of puzzles to have a go at there. The closing date's the 20th. The prize is to, like Don, come on the channel. Do check it out. You'll love the puzzles. They are a lot of fun. And as I say, today is the starting date of that competition. And I owe an apology to Tim as well, Dr. Tim Paulden, who makes this charity sort of puzzle hunt every Christmas time. Closing date for his hunt is the 18th of January. I mentioned it in a video the other day, but then forgot to put the link under the video. So I will endeavour to put that right today. Do check it out. Do go and visit it. You can win money for charities of your choice. So it's a very good thing to do. And then finally, some birthday announcements. So let me look at those. Well, the first one isn't a birthday, actually. It's an anniversary. Catherine and Miles. It's the first anniversary today of the two of you starting to date. And I think you've been watching, or at least talking about Cracking the Cryptic since that first date, which is rather cool. And you've got addicted to our genuinely approachable Sudoku apps, which is great as well. And I can tell you, Catherine, that Miles wanted to thank you for the best year of his life. And he's looking forward to many more wonderful years to come. So that is a rather nice message on the 1st of the 1st, 26. Now, a birthday for Beverly over there in Northern Ireland. Beverly, you've turned the big 40 today. And I know this because your son Marcus wrote to me and wanted to thank you for showing him how fun Sudoku is. And yes, I should thank you for doing that and spreading the word, Beverly. So, Beverly, I hope you have a brilliant birthday. Many happy returns. I hope the chocolate cake is good. Rad, it's your birthday. And I know this because your dear friend Nessie wrote to me. I think it was the first time that Nessie has written to a content creator. Is that what I am? I suppose I am. Good grief. And wanted... So I think Rad got Nessie into the channel, I think, and Nessie wanted to say thank you. So Rad, thank you for doing that, and I hope you have a brilliant, brilliant birthday today. And then finally, I will share a picture, not of a birthday cake, but a New Year's cake. And this was Philip, or could be Philippe, I don't know. But look at this cake. This cake is, I think, close to perfect. The ratio of icing to cake in there is beautiful. And apparently it has orange juice sort of infused between the layers, which sounds, I mean, I'm not saying that's wrong. I'm saying that would be interesting, but really the ratio is what I'm most excited about. That does look delicious. And I wish I'd got to try it, frankly. And that is a very, very, very long introduction today. My goodness me, I'm so sorry about this. I don't know how hard the puzzle is, but that's what we're going to do now. We are going to turn our attention to Rat Run 51 years later. We've read the preamble, so now we must read the rules and see what Marty has in store for us. And it helps in doing that to make sure that you can see the puzzle and not the chocolate cake. There we go. Right, here we go. So we have to fill the grid with the digits 0 to 3 so that each digit appears twice in every row, column and marked 4x2 box. Okay, so it's 0 to 3. Yes, there are 4 different digits, each appearing twice, and that's why this is an 8x8, and it should work. And then we have to reconstruct the maze by drawing thick walls around certain cell edges. The wall around the maze perimeter has been drawn already. Reconstruct the maze by drawing thick walls. So we're going to need the pen tool. I always have my pen tool turned on, but for those of you who don't necessarily use the pen tool, if you click the cog icon, I'm not sure if that's going to come out on the software, but make sure you have your pen tool enabled. That should allow you, let me go to the pen tool. You can sort of draw lines along boundaries in different colours and things. So definitely do that. Right, circles. The digit in a circle indicates how many of that cell's 4 edges contain a wall. So that's like a slitherlink rule, isn't it? So if you had a 3 there, then it would be like saying there's a horseshoe, because 3 of its edges have to be walls. So it would always form this sort of slitherlink shape. If you're familiar with the slitherlink logic, you will know of what I speak. Now, what else? We've got the finished maze must have a valid route from the red R rat. Okay. Oh, okay, because it's not Finks, because Finks lived 51 years ago. Is that the idea? So we've got to have a valid route from a theoretical rat to the blue cupcake, or the blue C, which it says is a cupcake, without passing through any walls or visiting any cell more than once. No diagonal moves are possible in this maze due to the brown wall spots on the corners of cells. Yeah, okay, that's fine. Because often in Marty's Rat Run puzzles you can do diagonal moves, but here it's been made very clear you can't. One-way doors. An edge containing a purple arrow does not contain a wall and sits between 2 different digits, with the arrow pointing towards the smaller digit. So it's like an inequality sign. An arrow can only be passed through in the direction it's pointing. Right, so if we look at this domino, we could, let's pick a colour, we could go, yeah, so if the path did go from or between these 2 cells, it would have to be going from left to right. It couldn't go from right to left through those 2 cells. And there isn't, okay, and it's not a wall as well. So a purple cell is not a wall, which means something like that cell can't be, it can't be a 3 anyway because of the inequalities, but that couldn't be a 3, because a 3 would have 3 wall cells, and that demonstrably can only have 2 because it's got 2 purples around it. And a test constraint. Test constraint. Adjacent digits along the path must sum to at least 3. which in and of itself, in a puzzle that has the digits 0 to 3 available, is only going to rule out some things, isn't it? Because it means the path can't go from a 0 to a 1. And basically, if a 0 is on the path, it can only go to a 3. That feels like the main type of restriction we'll get from that. Do have a go. These puzzles are such a treat. The way to play is to click the link under the video as usual, but now I get to play. Let's get cracking. So my first thought is, does it matter that we've got 2 boxes in this puzzle that are completely covered in circles? So have to be completely slither-linked, if you see what I mean. And that... And the wall, the perimeter of the puzzle is a wall, isn't it? Let me just check the wording of the rules on that. Because I was just thinking, in this box, that's going to mean that none of those cells could be zeros. Because if the perimeter is a wall, reconstruct the maze by drawing thick walls around certain cells. The wall around the maze perimeter has already been drawn. And circles... Yeah, circles indicate how many of that cell's 4 edges contain a wall. So I think that's been worded quite carefully to make sure that we know, that the perimeter is a wall cell for the purposes of the slither-link rules. Which means that in box 1, none of those cells there could be a 0. So 2 zeros have to go in those cells, but that is on the lower side of the inequality, so that could be a 0. And whichever 2 of these are zeros are completely surrounded by a complete lack of wall. They wouldn't be very good prisons. And in this box, but yeah, I don't really know how to pencil mark this. But I mean, I could do that, but it's nonsense. Because maybe I do that on the basis that if I make a corner pencil mark in this puzzle, I'm saying it applies to both variants of the digit. So by making this pencil mark, I'm saying not only is there a 0 in one of those cells, there's actually 2 zeros in one of those cells. And now the 2 zeros in box... Oh, this is good. Right. The 2 zeros in box 1, or box 2, sorry. I suppose in row 1 we could have said. The 2 zeros this can't be a 0 because it's circled. And it's already got a wall segment above it. This can't be a 0 by inequality logic, because this would have to be a negative number. So the 2 zeros are in box 2 are there. And therefore what? I don't know. Okay, so does it matter for this one as well? I've got 2 zeros to put in there and I can't put them on the wall. Oh no, that's on the wrong side of the inequality again. Okay, that doesn't actually seem to be... That's weird, isn't it? That doesn't seem to have taken me forward at all. Oh, okay, right, where's... Yeah, oh, that's actually... I almost thought I'd broken it then, but no, where's the second 0 in column 8? I nearly said column 9 there, but column 8. It can't be in these 2 cells, because these are on the bigger side of their inequalities. We know it can't be in a circle, so it's got to be there. So perhaps it's zeros in the perimeter, maybe, rather than in these boxes. So what about 0 in the bottom row? We know it can't go. in the circles. We know it can't go on the top side of an yeah, look, it can't go on the top side of an inequality. So the 2 zeros in the bottom row are in those positions. So let's do the 2 zeros in column 1. Oh, bother, we can't. It's got 3 possible positions, I think. Is it really possible both of those are zeros? I don't know, really. And is there anything... so if you had a 0... Well, you do have to be a bit careful, actually. Okay. Oh, no. See, what I was about to say is not generalizable, but it was a point. It is a sort of point. I was just thinking about how difficult was it to put 0 into a circle at all. And there is a point about that could be a 0, but it couldn't be a 0 on the path. I don't think. And the reason it can't be a 0 on the path is, where would you go from this cell? You'd have to go into a 3, wouldn't you, in order that adjacent digits on the path sum to at least 3. But you couldn't go into a 3 because a 3 is a horseshoe. So the path would end. I don't know if I'm explaining that very well, but if this was on the path and the path went north, those two have to add up to at least 3. So that has to be a 3. But ignore the purple thing for a moment. We know that a 3 is a horseshoe shape, so it would have to do that. And now the path can't get out of the cul-de-sac it's been shunted into. So zeros can be in circles, but only if those circles... So, for example, that could be a 0 on the path if the path then went south to a 3 that wasn't in a circle. This is probably getting a bit overcomplicated. Maybe we should just think about... do we know... If that was... Well, that's... Okay, that digit is a 2 or a 3, I'm going to claim. Because it's already got 2 wall cells because of the corner of the perimeter. But it's on the top side of an inequality. So this digit is 1 or 2. It can't be 0 by Sudoku of all things. And... Oh, hang on. Right, I was wrong with what I said before. Okay, well... Oh, I was about to sneeze. I don't want to sneeze. No. It would be as bad as eating a banana. No. Well, it wouldn't, but it would be for you. No. Okay, you can put 3 on the path. I was going to say you couldn't put a 3 on the path in a circle, but that's not true if it's a path end, because it doesn't have to get in and out of the cell. If there was a horseshoe, you can obviously, if that was the start of the path, that would be fine because you could just leave. That's fine, but you can't have a 3 on the path midway along the path. So that could be a 3 in the corner straight away. And yeah, okay. So, oh no, but hang on, that's going the wrong way because that's the end. Hang on, this is weird. This is the end of the path, isn't it? So that... Well, hang on. It's the end of the path. Yeah, so the path can't have got into this cell for its final move. It can't cross that border because that's going the wrong way across the inequality sign. So that's the end. That's the final move that the putative rat that isn't Finks, our future rat, goes into this cell with. It goes from here. And I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means. That might mean something. Is that obvious what that means? I don't think it is. Good grief, okay. Alright, let's try this one then. Let's try the rat itself. So the rat itself is on an inequality. Okay, so this digit is a 1 or a 2 then. So that's a 2 or a 3 as well. But we could absolutely, because this is the start of the path, we could absolutely just go east, couldn't we? I think. So what is it I'm meant to be appreciating here? Whoa, I don't know. I don't understand this at all. Is there some sort of restriction? Marty, what have you done? Sorry. Oh, okay. So the inequality thingies are... They are not... Oh, yes. Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah. You have to obey the rules of the puzzle. That is something you'll find with these puzzles. The rules are important. That can't be a 3 in the corner, actually, I'm afraid. Some of you will be thrilled because you're not going to hear me singing. If this was a 3 in the corner, this purple thing is saying there's no wall, isn't it? So that's not got a wall. Obviously, the way that the path gets into the corner doesn't have a wall. So that is a 2 in the corner. And it's already completed its 2 slitherlink by virtue of the perimeter. Okay, and that's got to be bigger than that digit, so that is a 1. And therefore... Oh, and the 1. Okay, so the 1 is finished because it's got a north wall. Okay, I'm gradually starting to get this. So those are... Yeah, and now where's 3 in the top row? That's a good question. Don't forget there are 2 of them. This can't be a 3 anymore because its south side is unwalled because of the inequality. So the only 2 places for 3s are these places, one of which is on a circle. So we now know, because of the purple thing, that the horseshoe is going to scuttle. It's going to be like that. No, I'll leave. Maybe I should. I don't have a brown colour to do the to do the walls in, but that is a wall. That's definitely wall. And the path must go like that. And okay, and we need, so this digit is a 1 or a 2. I was going to say, if it's a 1, that has to be a 0. That can't be a 0. It's got a wall segment around it. So that's not a 0. These 2 must be 0. And therefore, they're both circled, so we can completely thingy them, surround them with... Oh, I tell you what. No, there we go. We can completely thingy them with X's. And... Well, this cell can't be a 3, because that is part of a continuation of the path. It's not the end of the path. And any 3... Well, we've put all the 3s we can... No, we've put all the circled 3s we ever can on the path. So that is not a 3. So that's the second 3 in box 1. And now that we can draw its horseshoe around. And this digit is a 1 or a 2. Yeah, that's lovely. That's... I think it's got to be... Well, hang on, I'm wrong, actually. No, it's got to be a 1. It's got to be a 1. Because the question we should ask is, where do we go? Or how do we get to this cell? We didn't get there from here, because 0 plus 1 or 2 is not 3. So we got to this cell by coming in from the south side of it. But that means this cell has got three of its edges are definitely not walled. So it must have one walled cell, not two. And this digit is at least a 2 now, in order to add up to the requirement of at least 3. But that isn't circled, so we can't do any jiggery pokery slitherlinky stuff with that. But I've got 2 1s here, so that's a 2 now by Sudoku, which means this is a 1 to put 2 1s into the top row. If that's a 1 and it's circled, it's already got its thingy. It's wall cell, hasn't it? Sorry, how do I put the black wall cell or black X's in? Well, okay, and we can't go from a 1 to a 0 on the path. That doesn't add up to 3. That's a knowledge bomb. So we must go south. And we go south into a cell that is not a... Well, it's a 2. It's a 2 by this logic. That we know this domino adds up to at least 3, but we know it can't be. So this is at least a 2, but it can't be a 3 on the path, because a 3 would dead end the path. So that's a 2. And now we can see where it goes in and out of this cell. It goes out to the east, where the inequality sign is. So we can fill in the second wall cell there. And, oh, right, and this digit must be a 1, otherwise we're not going to add up to 3 in the domino again. And that digit's a 0. I didn't see this. There's some sort of chain of inequalities going around that corner. So we can go 2, 1, 0. We've got all the zeros in column 6 now. And we have to continue east, because we can't turn into a 0 from a 1. We won't reach a total of 3. So we must go to there, that's really important, because this digit must be a 2, I think. Because that digit in theory, well no, in practice as well, is bigger than this digit. So we've got 3 and 2 to place in the box. So that's 3, that's 2. And some of these, okay, so now we need to think about, that is a 0 on a circle. So all of those have to be unwalled. So this digit is really small now. It could unfortunately be a 0. Oh no, it can't be a 0 because of the inequality. I was going to say it's circled, so we should just count the number of wall cells around it. Now it's only got a maximum of 1 wall cell. So it's a 1 or a 0, but if it was a 0, this digit would be lower than 0, so it must be a 1. That must be a 0. And now we can go down into this cell. Oh, no we can't. No, actually we can't. If we go down into this cell, the path is stranded. Because although that domino adds to 3, the next domino, wherever that is, won't add up to 3. We can't go from this cell to the east because of the inequality. So we're going to have to go north, I think. So we've got to go north. We're just getting to 3 across that domino. We must go south. This doesn't matter so much, does it? That's going to be 2 or 3. It's just got to be bigger than 1. It's not circled, so we don't have to do any jiggery-pokery with it. Yeah, again, though, we can never go into this cell. We just can't, because the path would get stranded. So from here, we must go south. And, okay, and I'm going to claim, and this might be wrong, but I think from this cell we must go south as well. Because the only way we could go to the west would be if this was a 3 to make this domino big enough, but that would put a 3 on the path, which we can't have in a circled cell. So I think the path continues to the south again. Now that digit is no bigger than 2. Because we've got no wall to the north and no wall to the south. So it's either 0, it can't be 0, it's 1 or 2. And that digit, again, it can't be 3 because it's circled on the path. And it can't be 0, so that's 1 or or 2. So these can't both be 1 now, or that would be jolly bad for our progress. I don't know what to do with that. We can probably do something, he says, somewhat desperately, trying to work out what it is. I don't know. Okay. That corner digit sees 2 wall cells. So that's 2 or 3, isn't it? That corner digit, so that's 2 or 3. Everything in the corners has to be 2 or 3 if it's got a circle, which that one didn't have. And these can't... Yeah, that's lovely. Okay, so here's a weird point. These can't both be 1, because 1 plus 1 is 2, not 3. And therefore, where's the second 1 in this column? It's got to be there. And one of these is a 1, so the other one is a 2. So these are different digits. And that's... Okay, and that's... and this 1 has already got its wall segment to the east, so all of those are unwalled. Yeah, that I see it. Right, sorry, I should have used this 0, shouldn't I? That 0 is on a circle, so it is completely... Oh, hang on, now this 1 needs to have... This is going to... Oh, I see, no, the 1... I was thinking, is it intended that the puzzle, the sort of wall cells in the puzzle, are going to be uniquely fillable? Because I can see how the path is getting fulfilled. But actually, I can see that that cell is defined now, isn't it? It's a 1, and the only cell around it that is wallable because of the inequality sign is that one. And that 2 doesn't have a circle. That 1 must have a... Oh, goodness, it's so easy to make an error here. That 1 must have a wall segment, and it's got to be north of it. That does have its... Yeah, okay, so 3 is correct, 1 is correct, 2 is correct, 1 now does have a wall segment. This 2 doesn't need one because it's not circled. This 1 does. That one's been fully thingied. Technical term. Yeah, and this is good because now this digit is a 1 because its north, south and west sides are unwalled. So that's a 1 and therefore that's a 2 by maths to get us up to the 3 that we're looking for. Oh, bother. Okay. And then I don't know how you resolve this then. How do we know whether that's 2 or 3 and that's 2 or 3? That is a question that I don't think is very easy to answer at this juncture. Right. Okay. So where do we look next? What about... How many zeros have I got in the grid? Let's just double click the zeros. I have got quite a few. I have got... Oh, for goodness sake, yes. Where are the zeros in column 5? I've got to put 2 zeros in. And I think they are there. And that's beautiful because both of those are circled. So we can completely surround those with Xings. That doesn't actually... yeah, okay. Where are the zeros in column 1 now? I thought we looked at this before. I thought, maybe because we got the path to come down here, we eliminated one of the possible homes for a 0, but the zeros now have to be in those cells because they can't be in circles on the perimeter. Now, let's double click them again. Where do we need to put more in? We need to put 1 more. Oh, I don't know. We've got... Can we do this somehow? Where is... No, I don't think I can. I know there's one in one of those two. There's none here. There's none in there. There's none in there or there. So there's one in one of these two as well. Oh, bobbins, I don't know. Right. So where do you think we look next? Yeah, this 2 is important. This 2, it's got to have an entry and an exit because it's on the path, but it's also got to have 2 wall cells, but we actually can see where its exit is now because to the south it's got no wall cell. So that is how it exits from this cell, and therefore it needs a wall cell to its west. And now the 1 can't go into the 0 because 1 plus 0 does not equal in as much as it needs to, so it's got to go that way. And this digit is at least a 2 now. So that's 2 or 3, and it's circled, and that's circled. Oh, we already knew that. Okay, so there can't be 3. It's on the path. It would be horseshoed, and that's a jolly naughty thing. So that's got to be a 2. And now... Okay. Well, what does that mean? And the answer is I'm not sure. I know all of those are 2s. And, oh, this is... Okay. Gosh, if you focus on the right things, you can do things here. Look at these. They're all 2s and 3s by Sudoku, of all things. Marty, what are you doing, making me do Sudoku in your 51 years later Sudoku puzzle? They're all 2s and 3s, but a 2 or a 3 on a circle means I've got to put at least 2 wall cells around them. And you can see we can actually do that for some of these. That's got to be a wall segment because the inequality sign isn't allowed to be. This one's already got 2 x's, so we've got to do that. So both of those have to be 2. They simply can't be 3, and that means these are 3, and that's how you resolve this column. That's a 2 in the corner now, and it's complete. It is complete, so we can X those, and ooh, okay. So now in this box, I've got to put in 2 3s and a 1. Which is probably going to be very... Well, ooh, yeah, no. Yeah, okay. We can't go north from this position. Because if we did go north, let's just investigate why that's a problem. If we go north, we can't be going north into a 3 because that's on the path. So we're going to be going north into a 1, and then we can't get out because we'd have to go into a circled 3, which we know is a cul-de-sac. It creates the cul-de-sac. We can't go north into a 1, into a 0 from a 1. It won't add up to enough. So this 2s are really nice if you can force them onto the path, because you know there's an entry and an exit and then 2 walls on the other edges. So having deduced it doesn't go north, we know its north side is an edge, and now this cell has 2 edges, so it's not a 1, so that's a 3. And we can see where the horseshoe goes because there's one thingy already. Now this cell has 2 edges already, so that's got to be a 3. That's got to be the 1, and we can do that one, and that 1 has just completed that wall segment I've just drawn has just completed this 1's thingy. Okay, and now the 2 does exactly what we just talked about. It's got an exit, or it's got a lack of wall on its west side, so it must take advantage of that. Otherwise, the world wouldn't work. Oh, and well, we definitely go south from there because we can't go into a 0 by maths. So this digit needs to be at least a 2, and it can't be a 3. Because of the inequality. That's lovely, Marty. So that's a 3. Now this column needs a 1. This is a 2. It sees double 3 in its column. I could have probably done this in a different order, but it's so much fun to solve this. Now, well, Okay, I could put a second 1 into this column, and it's finished because it's a circled cell, so we can zap that round there. This 2 is uncircled, so I can't do that. That 1 is circled and it's on the perimeter, so we can do that. Oh goodness, yeah, okay. Well, we can't go west through the inequality sign. It's going in the wrong direction. We certainly can't go into this 1 because the next cell would be a 0. So we've got to go south from there. But then we have to go west, otherwise we're going to get trapped in a cul-de-sac in the bottom right-hand side. So this digit, which by Sudoku, I want it to be a 3. And it is a 3 by Sudoku, and that's jolly good. Because that takes all the pressure off. Okay, and then we could either go north, couldn't we? We could go north into the 3. The 3 is uncircled, and we could go... Oh, no, we can't. We can't go west. There's an inequality sign hiding underneath the X there, so we've got to go north. And then... Well, then we can't go into that 0. We looked at this earlier. If you go into the 0, you need to go into a 3, and you could go into a 3 there, but you're going to be cul-de-saced by the circle. So we've got to go west. Go west, young man. And that can't be a 3. So that's... You see, this one could be a 0, because you could then get a 3 from here. And that wouldn't break these principles that we've started to understand. Now, these this is big. Look at row 6. I've got 2 0s and 2 1s, and I've got 2 3s in that column, so that is a naked single 2. And now the double 3 in this row have to be here. Look at this inequality. What is that doing? Right, okay. So has this helped us? It must have helped a bit. Not sure. That 3, we can do its last thingy. That 2 is... Oh, no, that doesn't... This is a 1 or a 0, but I don't think we know which. There might be a way to tell, but I can't see what it is. The bottom row has had... Oh, yeah, look, the bottom row has had 2 2s, so that's got to be a 3, and that's in the corner. And, oh, we get the snow. We get the snow. Look at that. Oh, that's because it's Christmas time. I don't think we've had this Christmas. Sven's put that into the software, so it does the... That's 3 in the corner. That's 3 in the spotlight, losing its religion. Right, so we haven't put the second 1 into the bottom row. So that's a 1, and that we can... That's circled, so we can... Whoopsie. So we can do that with it. This 3 is circled. So that's going to either have that or that to finish it off. Yeah, this 2... Oh, it's not circled. Oh, so what I was about to say is such gibberish, I refuse to repeat it. So this digit we've gone into here is a 0 or a 1. Whoops. A 0 or a 1. I don't think I know which of those it is. I know that 3 is off the path because it's a circled 3. And now I'm stuck. Oh, that can't be a 0 because it's got a wall segment on its north side, so that's got to be a 1. It can't. No, I was wondering whether it could be a 3, but it definitely can't be for many reasons. Right, so in this row, there are no more 1s to place. There's a 0. Well, the 0 can't go here because we've had our 2 0s, so that's a 0. That's the only place 0 can go. And now I've had 2 0s in this column, and 2 0s in this column, and 2 0s in this column. Oh, so how many 0s have I got left to put in the puzzle? I've got a second 0 in row 5. That's got to go there by Sudoku. Now, have I got enough 0s? That is... No, I haven't. There's another 0 to be put into row 7. and that's got to go here. So that is a 0 now, and that is on the path. That is not what I was expecting, actually. But it's okay. We know we've got to go from a 0 to a 3, and that can't be a circled 3. So it's got to be there. That gives me all my 3s in this column. So this is a 1-2 pair. And we can extend the path. The 0 needs to be surrounded by lack of... And the 2 here needs 2 wall segments. The 3... Oh, well, the 3 does need 3 wall segments, but I don't know where they go. Okay, so we need 1s and 2s into those cells. Have we got a column that's got 2 of those? I don't think we do. Oh, bobbins. Okay. So where do we look now? This digit is doable, isn't it? That's a 1 by Sudoku, and it's already got its wall segment, so we can... This 1 has already got its wall segment. This 0 we can just fill in. Sorry, I could have done all this before, I just didn't see it. So somehow or other... Well, yeah, lovely. We can just think about where the path goes. I sounded like Rowan Atkinson then in Love Actually. Lovely. No jokes. This 3, it can't go north into a circled 3. It would be horseshoed. So we've got to go this way because we can't go south. The 1 would be stranded. Let me just show you. If we go 1, we either go into the 0, it's not adding up to enough, or we higgledy-piggledy ourselves there and we can't get out. So we've got to go there. And then we can't go south because we wouldn't add up to enough. We could go north. Actually, we are going to go north, because if we do continue to the west, although I could make that domino add up to 3, where would I go from this cell? I couldn't go north, it wouldn't add up to 3. I could go south, it would add up to 3, but then I'd be cul-de-saced. I couldn't get out without crossing the path. So I must go north from here. And then I can't go that way. In fact, yeah, I'm going to have to go north. I can't go this way because I then need a 3 in the next cell, which would have to be here, and I get cul-de-saced again. I can't go ever into a circle 3, so I have to go north. And this digit is a something. It's a 1 or a 2. That's what it is. And that digit is also actually a 1 or a 2 by Sudoku. Oh, okay. So where's the 3 in this? That's been available for ages. Where's the second 3 in column 1? So this digit is a 2 by Sudoku. Where's the second 3 in this column? It's got to be there. This is a 2. I've already got 2 1s in this row. This is a 1. I've already got 2 2s in this column. I've got some sort of deadly pattern of 1s and 2s left over here. Oh my goodness. Right, okay. Okay. Right, so where's the path going from there then? Oh no, it could go here. It's not going west, because then it would go into a 0. If it does go east, this would have to be a 2. 1, 2, 3. Oh, and it doesn't do that, because what I hadn't noticed is that this cell already has its wall segments defined, and they are like that, which prevents us from making that north movement there. So from here we must go north. And again, oh, it's lovely again. This 2, it's already got 2 open sides, so I've got to finish it like that. And now that's going to push my path down like that. And that is the route that the rat takes to the cupcake. But I haven't done it yet, have I? Because I haven't... I'm just checking these circled cells to see whether I've filled them in correctly. I think in the main I have. I know that I'll get into trouble if I mess this up. But I haven't done this 1-2 pattern or this 3 in the corner. I haven't done the lines associated with it. Oh, I see. But this 1, oh, and this 3 I've not done either. But this 1 is the key. That 1 has already got its wall segment. So we can do that. And now the 3 gets finished. But not only that, look at this cell. It's got no wall to the east, and no wall to the north, and no wall to the south, so it cannot be more than a 1. So that's unwinding the deadly pattern. Let's make sure we fill in the... So that's wall, which does the 2. This is a 1, which is done. And that does the final wall segment with a north-facing horseshoe. That is absolutely fantastic. What a return for oh, okay, hang on. There's a lot of stuff over here. I don't know if this is going to... Let me just check my OBS for a moment. No, you can't see that, can you? Okay, let me try and read it. It says, 31st of December, 2025. Sitting there in the attic in front of the finished maze, I somehow felt more connected to him than ever. I thought about how much I miss having someone in my life who understands me as well as he did, and how bizarre it is to identify with a rat who lived half a century ago. As I pondered this, a sudden loud noise took me by surprise, an odd electrical whirring sound coming from directly below me, where I could see a blue light was now glimmering up through a gap in the floorboards. Realizing one of these floorboards was loose, I lifted it with a rush of excitement, feeling like a kid again, and there, beneath the floor, I saw it. 3 extraordinary devices lined up in a row, one of which was glowing bright blue, illuminating the notebook beneath it and the words on its cover. Phase 3. Marty, you are such a showman. You are the P.T. Barnum of the Sudoku world. That was absolutely phenomenal, wasn't it? What a brilliant puzzle. Loved it. Absolutely loved it. My goodness me, what a start to the year. 2026 starts with a bang, and the great Marty Sears and this teaser for season 3, phase 3 indeed, of the Rat Run. Let me know in the comments how you got on with the puzzle. I enjoy the comments, especially when they're kind, and a very, very happy new year to you all. Bye for now.